Hi everyone. Welcome to Art Unplugged, where artists inspire artists. Today, we are really excited to have this live and interactive session with renowned fine artist, sculptural designer, and social media influencer, Sebastian Sohan. We have the unique opportunity to really dive into Sebastian's career so far and the impact that social media has had, apps like TikTok and Instagram that has had on his creative career. Last year, Sebastian let us know his secrets to rug tufting and ran an amazing tufting workshop for us. This year, we invited him back to share an incredible behind the scenes inside look at how his massive Instagram and TikTok following of nearly 200,000 has influenced his art sales and opportunities. So there will be a Q&A at the end where you can turn your cameras on and engage directly with Sebastian, and feel free to leave your questions in the chat and Mia can ask them for you. Before we speak to Sebastian, I just want to quickly share a little bit about who we are and who I am. My name is Lauren Little. I'm the founder of Dark Yellow Dot. I created this platform for artists to learn from one another, essentially. And if you haven't already, definitely check out our website and our Instagram. Both will be left in the chat. You can find things that are really useful to you as an artist, like our resource library, which is a growing, living, breathing resource library of tools and everything I use to build my art business, and a video library where you can binge watch all the art talks last year and the ones we've had and will have. We recently released an ebook of 45 incredible ways that artists are making money. So if you want to, you can grab your copy of that. That will be left in the chat. And if you want to, you can also join our email list to know when we have open calls for our real life art exhibitions that are here based in London. So you can submit your art to that if you like, or perhaps get a feature on our Instagram feed as well. And I also want to introduce you to my team. Lucas, our artist assistant running the chat. Say hi, Lucas. And Mia as well, our content writer, who does an incredible job writing all the content for our blog, and she will be helping to facilitate tonight's talk with Sebastian.
Everyone.
And I think that's it from us. So welcome, Sebastian.
Hello. I guess maybe I can take over now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Sebastian. Maybe you follow me, maybe you don't. But yeah, I'm a fine artist based in London, and I started as a fine artist and then kind of developed a small business, which kind of happened accidentally. And today, yeah, I'll be showing you kind of my journey as I became an artist and running my small business, and then kind of the effects of social media that has had, and kind of the impact it had as well, and what happens when you go viral, when you don't go viral, and like my tips and tricks for social media as well. So I guess I'll share my screen. So yeah, here's me behind with all my rugs that I've made. But I'll be starting by telling you how I started. So I went to university at Goldsmiths and I studied fine art, where I made sculpture works, including textiles and unconventional materials. So at the time, I was making these sugar sculptures that were very ephemeral and fragile. And it was completely different than what I do now, or at least in the kind of design sphere. Still had my color palettes, but it wasn't something that you can transport very easily or put it in your home very easily. So I also discovered tufting whilst I was there. So I graduated in 2018, but before that, I knew that they had a textiles workshop, which I attended like every week, but I did more knitting and weaving. But I also knew that they had an industrial tufting gun, so I knew I wanted to try it at least once. So I made this big rug, which I started to include in my installations. And then they also had a tufting sewing machine. So you can kind of embroider the fabric that you use, and it will create a tufted fabric, which I'm still looking for this kind of machine online. They don't make them anymore, so it's super hard. But yeah, after that, I just fell in love with the technique, and I was making more of these little things to kind of put and display with my sculptures. And before I left the university, I knew that I wanted to make more because I didn't know when I would be able to have the chance to do tufting again, because at the time it wasn't that popular. It's only since lockdown that it kind of boomed as this online phenomenon, and you can now get a tufting gun like very easily online, but before that wasn't the case. So yeah, I was making these kind of tufted pieces, which you can see in my final degree show, and that they were kind of attached to these objects. And at the time, I was very interested in set design, and it was already kind of becoming this kind of interior world. So yeah, and then I started to make smaller pieces. And these are the kind of examples that I made. So these were kind of 45, 30 centimeters. And yeah, I included them in my exhibition still. But in December of 2019, my partner had an idea that if I would like to sell them, because some people who are fellow artists and people that I've worked with, they kind of wanted a piece. So my boyfriend kind of advised me that I should photograph them in the home and perhaps market it online as well, and maybe that will take off somewhere. So we started to take some photos, and these are some photos that we took of my rugs. They were very different back then. They were still kind of fine arty rugs. And in August 2020, I set up my shop, my website shop, because I had a website before, but it was only my portfolio, and I had a kind of PDF with all my tuftings that were available. And if you wanted to contact me then for sale, then you had to email me. But then I opened an actual shop with like a checkout and a cart in 2020 August. And then yeah, I reached my first 1,000 likes on Instagram, and I was very proud of that moment. And then there were some more pictures that we took at home. And then shortly after that, everything changed in November 2020 when I designed my first resin pieces. So these were my bookends. And at the time, I was actually a casting assistant for a resin workshop. So we were making furniture and mirrors and very kind of high-end resin pieces. And I think that being there influenced me, but also with kind of peak kind of lockdown, kind of going into COVID, I wanted to make pieces, obviously, that didn't have to be hugely made in my studio, and I wasn't able to travel there. So I kind of wanted to make smaller pieces that I could make at home, and also that are very much easier to ship. So these were very small pieces, and they kind of started as an idea in a coffee shop, and then I made them out of clay and made molds, and then I post them online. And then to my surprise, I got my first post, which had 2,500 likes. And after that, I thought, oh, maybe there is something here. So I applied to an online market, which was called Endless Love Creative, and then also a South London Makers Market, which they now have a different name called Salad Days. But yeah, I applied there and I got in. And yeah, I was quite shocked because I was kind of not into the world of making products. I was more of a fine artist. So I was very like out of my element. But anyway, I got in, and yeah, after that, somehow the algorithm just kind of basically favored me, and my following started to grow very fast, very rapidly. And at that time, I was getting more likes on my post than I had followers. So here is a little chart of what happened between November and until March. So in the span of kind of 2, 3 months, I gained 30,000 followers. So it kind of started off with, around 100 or 200 per day, to then growing to 1,000 and 2,000 every day. And yeah, and then I hit 30K, and my engagement was very high. And then at the time, I think that was when the Instagram was at its peak. So everyone was at home, everyone was looking for inspiration to kind of jazz up their house. And yeah, that's kind of when I gained my most followers. And also, I remember having collections that were like sold out in 2 hours or 20 minutes. And yeah, I thought that I kind of made it then. And then, yeah, and then I kind of did, through that, obviously, once I started to gain following, I got quite a lot of opportunities. So I got to do a pop-up at Selfridges. And then that's kind of when I really took off into the world of interiors and making work kind of specifically for the home. So yeah, I started making rug collections very like every month and doing all these drops. And I kind of, yeah, moved into the design world of that. And I wanted to list my social media positives and negatives, because I know that even me, I kind of dwell on the negatives a lot, but there are actually a lot of positives. So if you are a new startup, then it can help you grow your business. It's free to use, so there are a lot of social media outlets available, and you never know what audience will connect with your work. So um, like around last year, I started to post on TikTok regularly. I used to be very anti that platform, but I did, and I'm very glad I did, because what kind of works on there doesn't necessarily work on Instagram, and I'm now kind of starting to kind of make my way into the other platforms as well, like YouTube Shorts and Pinterest, because I know it's a good way to grow your account and your business. And as long as you already have the content, then you can just cross post, which I really advise for people to do. I've been doing these series of videos online where I kind of give tips for like new people that are starting out. So yeah, this will be one of my tips. You can reach millions of people. They can discover you. If you go viral, obviously it depends on what kind of artwork you make or products that you have. It can change your life overnight, especially if you have manufactured things, because obviously those are much easier to produce at like rapid amounts. So yeah, it can change your life. You can post on your own terms. You can find a like-minded community of people that think the same as you, and it is relatively easy to grasp. As in, if you know how to edit inside the platform, then as long as you have things to edit, then it's very easy to navigate. But obviously, the hardest part is coming up with content creation. And this kind of leads me on to the negative sides, that it's very time consuming. For me, it kind of takes like making a reel, depends if I have something ready, but if not, often I just sit and scroll and see what's trending, what I can post that day. And sometimes it can take like 30 to 40 minutes, which is a lot. And especially if you want to like hang out with your family or go with your friends somewhere, then it's like I need to kind of take a break, pull myself out of that situation and do the Instagram thing. So yeah, it can take away from your time of making and priorities as well. So sometimes actually you have really big list of things to do, but you end up doing Instagram or social media like most of the day. And then the algorithms are constantly changing, and you're constantly chasing against the machine. It feels like the world is against you, so you kind of have to not take that negatively or personally. You just have to keep going and just posting whatever you can, because you never know. The things, usually for me, the videos that are kind of throwaway that I just make like the quickest usually become the ones that gain engagement. I don't know if there's something to do with the fact that the platform sees that you did it quickly, or that you spent a lot of time on editing videos. I don't know what that is about. But yeah, the hardest part is creative blocks and content creating and having something to post every day. So I kind of advise people that you should identify areas of your work that you can kind of categorize. So for me, it's like part of it is demolding videos, and then maybe styling my products, and then a packing video, things like that, to kind of break up your social media posts, because you don't want to post like the same kind of category of content every day, because people will get bored and then they will just go to somewhere else. So yeah, I try to kind of break it down so that if I post a demolding video today, tomorrow will be a styling thing, and then maybe the next day will be a photo rather than a video. So you kind of have to keep a variety to keep people interested in your stuff. And I think that's kind of what has helped me keep going. I still kind of try to post every day, which is really hard. So you kind of also want to entertain yourself, because if you're going to keep doing this every day, then you should do something different. Yeah, figuring how to entertain your audience so they don't leave. You also have to stick to patterns. So honestly, it's a full-time job. So I'm not surprised that now there are so many social media strategists, analyst jobs, and things like that. And the hardest thing is lack of personal life, because if you put yourself out there, especially if your content is kind of you as well, which is also me showing my face, then it can take away from your personal life, which can be damaging. And yeah, now what happens if a post goes viral? So I've had some posts go viral in the past, which also helps helped me grow to the audience that I have today. So I have an example of a reel that went viral recently. So I had this reel, which was basically about starting a small business and how it kind of grew. And I got 2 million views from that. It's only 16 seconds long. But yeah, there were a lot of shares. And as you can see, most of my non-followers saw it. So compared to like 140,000 that I have followers on Instagram, only 37,000 of those saw it. And I also posted this on TikTok, which also went viral. And then that I had around 1.9 million views. And then, yeah, from that, this is an analytics from my website. So it's kind of, I took 6 days from when I posted that and after it went viral. And as you can see, I made 2,000 sales. I sold 35 things in that kind of 6 day period, which is a lot. And there are 2 traffic alerts as well. So they had overall 13,000 visits and 32,000 page views, which is a lot. And I think if I had products that were maybe perhaps cheaper or more accessible, then those numbers would have been higher. So it depends on what products you sell. If you sell like maybe makeup or something that's manufactured, so it's like a lesser price than mine, then maybe the numbers would be even higher. But yeah, and then here are the visits. So you can really see the spikes. At some point, I even had nearly 3.5 thousand people viewing my website per day. So which was kind of crazy to think about that many people are looking at what you do. And then, yeah, here is also another example. And this is a video that only went viral on Instagram. So I posted it on TikTok as well, but on TikTok, it only got 13,000 views. And in here on Instagram, they had 2 million views. So yeah, once again, analytics, I've sold 14 things, most of which was that mirror. But yeah, the revenue was a bit lower because it didn't go viral on TikTok. But as you can see, compared to the analytics of the other one that also went viral on TikTok, there was not a massive spike in the audience. So with the Instagram reel that only went viral, I've had like just under 500 people viewing my website a day. So I think kind of my takeaway from that was that Instagram audience is a bit more passive, so they might see and they might like, but TikTok audience is the one that will kind of go out of their way to visit your profile, visit your website. So yeah, I think if anyone here doesn't have a TikTok account yet, I think you should definitely get one because it's very, very helpful for your business. And then what happens when you don't go viral? So here's some reels that I've made in the past week. And as you can see, the views are not that high. I've compared to the other things, I've sold only 4 things and I've had £300 revenue of this for this week. And it's actually 20% less than I've had the week before. And yeah, the kind of graph shows that actually this week, because of the social media performance, is actually lower than what I had last week. So it really shows that like depending on if you go viral or not, it will determine your sales, which is really damaging because as an artist, you kind of start assigning your value to your social media performance, which shouldn't be the way, but it kind of sadly is how it turns out. And yeah, it really shows that if you go viral, you can really make a lot of sales, but obviously you can't go viral every day. It's just impossible. So how can you kind of sustain this, trajectory and kind of keep going? It's very easy to feel defeated when one day you get a video that gets 2 million views and then the next one gets 16,000 or even less. So here are kind of my observations between Instagram and TikTok. And I think Instagram is more aesthetic and it's more saturated with art and creative things. I mean, obviously your explore page is catered to you, but mine is all people making stuff, other small businesses. And I think people are kind of, desensitized to seeing art in a way, whereas on TikTok, people are more real there and authentic and they kind of post videos that are just of daily life and maybe just like their thoughts and stuff like that. So when a video actually of someone making art or having a small business comes on their page, they are more likely to engage with it, which is seen by the spike in my graphs from when videos went viral. And also as a comparison from that video, the same video that went viral on TikTok and Instagram, from that video on TikTok, I gained 40,000 followers, whereas on Instagram, I gained only 13,000 in the span of the 3 months. So not even just that one video. I actually had 2 videos go viral with over 2 million views. Another one had 1 million, and there was also one which had 750K. And even then, I've only grown 13,000. Whereas in TikTok, I feel like if I've had 3 videos with over 1 million views, I feel like I would have had way more followers, and obviously followers can translate to sales and things like that, and obviously helps you with reach in the future. So yeah, I think also TikTok carries, once your video goes viral, I think it also starts pushing your other videos that you've posted at the same time, which is not the same case with Instagram, I think. So here is like a little screenshot of my Instagram, which is where I had 2 million views, and then I still had like higher percentage of the views, but compared to my followers, that's quite low. So I don't think necessarily the audience from that video translated into the next videos. Whereas on TikTok, I have 50,000, which is 1/3 of what I have on Instagram. And sometimes I don't get that many views. So the fact that after the 2 million views, the one before also got 60K, and then another one had 43, and another one had 42. That kind of shows that once the algorithm in TikTok is much better, and once someone presses a like or saves your post, and even if they don't follow you, you will come up on their feed again. So I definitely recommend getting on TikTok and trying your content there, because you never know where your thing might blow up. And then kind of, I want to give my social media tips to everyone that has a small business. So first thing I would do, which I haven't done, is sign up on every platform. Even if you don't use it right now, then please do it, because I didn't do that. And now on a lot of platforms like Twitter, YouTube, my username is already taken. So obviously they might not know who I am, but maybe my username is kind of like a common phrase. So it's all gone. So even my TikTok is separate from my Instagram. It has a studio attached at the end. And I still get questions on TikTok. Like people ask me, what's your Instagram? Because when they search I'm Not You Studio, I don't come up. So yeah, definitely claim your usernames and cross-post your content, because once you have a video, then you can just post it on every platform, which I'm now doing with Instagram and TikTok. But I'm also going to sign up to YouTube Shorts, because recently someone posted an unboxing of my, like they bought a bookend from me, and they posted it on YouTube, and it got like 250,000 views. And from that, people were following me. So I was looking at my followers. I was like, why everyone's like from, they were from South Korea. I was like, why is everyone following me from South Korea? And it turns out because of that video. So yeah, you never know what platform will help you. And I already mentioned this, but identify categories which will help you create your content. So it will be much easier to kind of, place yourself every day if you want to make content. And also people will remember you for those things. So like the same as influencers or kind of celebrities have their niche, people will also remember you. Like if you do demolding videos, or if you do styling, or if you have like a series of, I don't know, DIYing tables and things like that, it will be kind of help people identify you with those things. And especially because now the search engines are now becoming like Google. So if you type like, girl that makes tables out of clay or things like that person will come up. So it's definitely useful to do that. And then don't be afraid to post new content that you never tried before. So I used to be very scared of that, but recently I started to be more personal and share new content. So like the one that I did where I share my income, or like the lack of it, with like social media not performing well, and therefore my sales not being good despite my followers and despite what my people think. So, and then that surprisingly got like nearly 1 million views. So yeah, you never know if what you want to make and what you want to portray, maybe that will go viral, even though you might be scared of it. Make your brand personal. People want to know the person behind the brand. So obviously I know that not everyone wants to show their face, but at least talk about like the reasons behind why you made your brand, or like, you know, show behind the scenes footage. So don't just show the end product, because people are kind of not, they're not really reactive to that. So make sure that it's a bit more personal. And number 6 is very important. It was important for me as well. Like my friends, especially like as starting out, kind of would not make fun of me, but tease me for the fact that I have these followers and like, oh, you know, like showing products and things like that and talking to a camera. Yeah, you really have to get over your fear of being cringe, because there's nothing cringe about it. And I think once you reach the mountain of overcoming cringe, I think the internet will be yours, and I think that's what people resonate with. So yeah, use voiceovers if you can. So if you're making like a talking video, then use a voiceover, or if you're making something, then use a voiceover, because your captions as well will become like a search engine. So even if you don't mention something in your actual post caption, the fact that you're speaking it will kind of help with the algorithm, which is what I started to do now as well. And this is very useful if you use TikTok. And then if you are kind of lack inspiration, or you don't know what to post, then look at what other people you like post and gain inspiration from them. So if you kind of don't know what sound to use or what's trending these days, or like have an idea, then go to someone, maybe like if you know that someone has a lot of followers, or you kind of really admire their content, then don't necessarily copy it, but you know, just the kind of like, if this week is trending this sound, then you should recreate that too. And then, yeah, that goes into the next part, which on Instagram, you should use sounds with under 10K users. That will, ideally, ones with below 3K, because then your video might have more chance to gain a lot of followers. If it's anything like above 20K, then I think the sound is already oversaturated, and it's very unlikely that your post will show up in the explore page. And make videos in parts, especially on TikTok. I don't know why, but people love like kind of a problem and then a resolution and then the final thing at the end. So really, people love problem solving. So ideally make yours in 3 parts if you can, and then people will be coming up. And I tried that recently, actually, of making a custom mirror, and actually the last part like got the most views, and then people can click to the next one. So it's kind of like a playlist, which really helps you a lot. And then number 11, which I learned the hard way, if your TikTok starts getting many views, do not reply to all comments. I've done that when my first video kind of started to go viral, and I was like, oh my God, this is my big moment on TikTok. But actually my reach completely just got drained out, like by the algorithm, and it stopped pushing my videos. So you shouldn't really be replying to everyone. Maybe pick like 3 or 4 comments to reply to, but not straight away. Whereas I feel like on Instagram, it's a bit different. The more you comment, no matter who it is, your post will get pushed. And yeah, so definitely don't do that on TikTok. And yeah, my last tip is that on Instagram, you should post videos max 15 seconds. And on TikTok, you should post 1 minute or more, because now TikTok wants to kind of rival YouTube. So they want to kind of create longer content. And now they have a new program it's only for people in the US, but it's kind of is going to happen in general as well, where if you make 1 minute videos, then you can get paid a similar way that you do on YouTube. So you can get paid anyway on TikTok if you have 10,000 followers, which I get paid. So far, even though I've had 50,000 followers and I've had like loads of views, I've earned, I think, £80 in general. So it's not a lot of money. You need to have like millions of views. But with the 1 minute videos, they're going to pay more, and that's why they are pushing those videos. So for me, actually, right now, if a video is over a minute, it will probably perform better. So yeah, those are my kind of general tips. You can also see more of my tips. I've done some like TikTok videos about it, and also Instagrams. But yeah, we're now going to kind of move on to the Q&A discussion. So thank you so much for listening to what I had to say. And yeah, if you have any questions about discussing social media, then please, you can type in the chat now, or you can unmute yourself, whichever you prefer. And yeah, hopefully we can have a nice conversation about social media, because I know everyone struggles, including me. So yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Sebastian. That's really good. I really always find it so interesting to like hear when an artist like really goes in depth about things like social media, because like people just don't talk about it a lot. Like it's like
Mm,
a kind of they kind of like gatekeep their tips and stuff. So
mm,
thank you for sharing yours. I do have personally have some questions. Um, I was writing them down. I said, how do you balance your fine art background with the more design orientated and like commercial kind of
mm,
side of your business? Because I think we might have spoken about this before, but and I think because I interviewed you for my dissertation,
mhm.
and yeah, I kind of wanted to know, do you like feel like you've had to give it like do you feel like you've given up part of your practice to kind of make more commercial work, or do you feel like you still kind of get the fine art side of it through what you do?
Yeah, I definitely feel like a part of me has kind of drifted away from fine art because of the way, like, I guess with how fast my platform grew, and that also means like more sales and fulfilling those orders. So often times you don't have enough time to make fine art work, which I wish I did. So like the painting behind me, which I did for an exhibition. So I really like when I some people ask me to be in shows because then I actually have time that I need to dedicate for to make work for a show. But with my like design work, it's kind of hard to balance the two together. So I think that's why I've remained mostly handmade items. And like for example, as with the rugs that you see on the screen, I try to like not replicate designs so that there is a kind of that finer element and every piece being unique in some way. So even though they have the same similar color scheme, each design is different.
Mm.
And yeah, that kind of helps to keep me like on my toes and help me be inspired as well. Because a lot of the times, like if you have a repeated product, then it can get very not boring, but kind of frustrating to keep doing the same thing over again. It becomes a bit repetitive. So yeah, I kind of try to balance that out in that way, but I would really love to make more fine art pieces. So I'm kind of opening up everything that I make with custom orders. So before I used to do only custom rugs, but now I also do try to do custom mirrors, and I recently opened up for custom cushions as well. And hopefully I can make other custom things as well. So someone else has asked me about making a table, and yeah, kind of marrying those two practices together because I definitely think that I'm still a fine artist at heart and I would love to do that more. I just need to kind of see how to marry that more successfully and how to find the time for both because with handmade things I often don't have, and also social media becomes your job and marketing and then like photographing and then packing, things like that, everything just becomes my responsibility. So a lot of the times I have a lot of ideas for like original pieces of work that I want to make, but I just don't have the time to facilitate that. Otherwise, I would have to sacrifice like my evenings, which I already do sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
I till the night basically. But yeah, I really hope I get to do that more. And I
Yeah.
hope it answers your question somehow.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it does. Because I think that's something I've kind of struggled with my own practice as well. Like, do you
mm,
go commercial or do you say fine art?
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of a lot that I had to kind of come to terms with as well is that like when you're at university, sorry, there's a police car at the fire brigade. When you're at university, I think there is a kind of certain way to look at what art is, and I think fine art people see that like it has to have a concept and it has to have this, and I think I struggled a lot with that, like just being at uni as well, because I felt like I had to put in a lot of meaning to like, to justify my work, even though it can just be like the color exploration, the shapes, the forms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, doing like being this, like having a small business opened up my view of what art is as well. Like, you know, yeah, before maybe I was a bit more not gatekeeping the word fine art, but kind of, being like, oh well, this isn't art, this is art. But who am I to say what's art, what's not, So I think doing a small business, especially like if I like meet new people now and I explain what I do, and then like when people would be like, oh, so you're like an Etsy shop. So I'm like, but people on Etsy also make art. Like that's just
Yeah.
so disrespectful. So I've learned you know, like kind of through conversations like that and things happening like that in real life, that actually, you know, everyone makes art and you have to have, yeah, kind of a broader respect for different types of art, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, right, we've got quite a few questions now. Natalia's raised her hand. Cool, right, Natalia, go ahead.
Hi, it's really cool to have this opportunity to chat with you. I've been following your work for quite some time. It like totally super speaks to me. Anyways, besides me being like very excited, I have like a couple random questions that I'm hoping I can kind of put into a few things. In your experience, like I've tried reaching out to influencers and stuff and doing like gifting art, but sometimes it ends up weird or sometimes people don't really follow up. I had a pretty bad experience with someone that I made them a custom portrait of their cat and then they completely ghosted me and like made me the villain for like reaching out to them repeatedly, which I've never like shared online because again, I don't want to like seem negative. So like what is your experience with that? Do you think it's like positive as an artist? Because like I feel like a lot, and this kind of ties into my next is like thing is that I don't want people to think that art is free and like giving it away, because I think a thing that I personally really struggle with is like learning to value your art. I did not go to art school. I have a full-time day job. I do this more for fun, to try to create community and like connect people that like have similar thoughts than I do. And then another big part of my work is that I donate 50% of what I sell because I know that I have a full-time job and I want to make art with impact and I'm in the position to do that. So I feel like really, but like it's really hard convincing people that art has value. Like the other day, a friend asked me for a commission and their starting price was $20 and I've already sunk 2 hours into the piece. So I upped it to 50 and I'm not even done. And the last thing I was going to add as like a more technical question was like, what is your experience with like SEO or like hashtags and stuff? Because I feel like every time I try to figure that out, I don't understand it anymore. And like, is it actually helpful? I like can't suss it out because I'll like follow the tips and then I don't see any difference. So I'm like, I don't know if it's real or not. So I know that's a lot of questions, but I have lots of thoughts.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for your questions. And I think you commented on my TikTok that you signed up. Yeah, so I definitely remember you. Yeah, actually, so to speak about influencers first, I've never gifted my stuff for free, given away for free, and I never contacted anyone but myself. So I've actually had a lot of DMs of people asking, but I haven't, like, maybe if I met the right person that I feel like aligns with my aesthetic and kind of has respect for my art. So that would be like whether I notice that they have like engaged with my, you know, my art before, and whether that I know that they look at my stuff and I've seen comments from them and stuff like that. But a lot of the times people are just like, I don't know, I just find influencers so rude and so disrespectful a lot of the times, even though my name is literally my like you know, my name, it's not, my name is in my bio and it's also my kind of display name. And the fact that sometimes they like don't even call me by my name, or they just call me hey you, or like they say that, like, you know, they call me a team, hey, I'm not you team, and things like that. So I just think that if you really loved my work and really valued me, then you would have done the basic research and saw that in the first 3 posts that I make everything by myself and there's no one else, you know, and or even on my website it says that. So yeah, I don't even reply to those anymore because I feel like it is a waste of my time. And I used to reply, but then I was like, you know, these people just like copied and pasted their, you know, like message. They didn't even bother to look me up. So why should I be, you know, taking my time of the day to reply to them? So I just don't anymore. So yeah, I would say to kind of be careful of that, because I know a lot of people had situations like you where, you know, they've done something, they've sent stuff out and people they just don't like, you know, they just don't respond, they just ghost you and things like that. And I think at the end of the day with influencers as well, you have to look at like what kind of community they have. Like most likely if they have millions of followers, they probably will never share it. And like, you know, I think the ones that are kind of more useful to invest in is maybe like the micro or macro influencers who have a lower maybe amount of followers but will have you know, kind of more engagement from people as well. So you have to like look at whether that person's trustworthy as well or not. But personally, I never have done like a collab like that because I just think it's unfair to ask people for free stuff. And yeah, what else I want to say about that? It's unfair. Oh my God, the thought just anyway came out of my brain. Maybe I'll remember. But with the SEO and hashtags, I also try to follow, like, you know, I feel like every week there's a new tip. Oh, you should do this many amount, you should do that. But on TikTok, I definitely hashtag my like username so that like you will all the views basically of the videos with that hashtag will get attached to that. So it's much easier to search. And then on TikTok, I use 6 maximum hashtags. So you can actually use, like there is a TikTok creative platform, which you can search, it's for creators. So you can see what's trending at the moment, what kind of hashtags are trending, and you can look up the niche, and also you can look up each individual hashtag and what other hashtags were used with that hashtag, if that makes sense. Instagram is a bit more complicated. I don't know if you have this option, but for me, I have like topics. So you can choose up to 3 topics of what your video is related to. So I found that like when I've used them, my reach gets better than if I don't use them, because then Instagram doesn't know where to push your stuff. But I've done both, and I think I still use hashtags now because I've seen people who some of my posts perform better without, and some posts perform better with. So I think like with the algorithms, there's not really any way like solution to go about things. You just have to try things, and hopefully they work. If they don't, then you just change it up for the next post. But it is so difficult. I try to describe like, especially on TikTok, because it's becoming more like Google. So even though I try to describe what I'm using in the description, what I'm doing in the description, so kind of, you know, it will be searchable as well, and really use the amount of like the maximum amount of captions of the caption space, because every word can become like a search term. So that's what I've been doing. But yeah, that hopefully that answers your questions. And I'm sorry that you've had that experience, because I know like people often don't value custom art as well, in general. So yeah, and I think at the end of the day as well, if those people, I've seen some of my fellow other makers have more guts than me, so they've actually replied to influencers saying that if you valued my work, then you would have purchased by now at least something, you know, something little. And I really agree with that. So yeah, or sent some love my way, you know.
For sure.
At the end of the day, you have to pay bills, and a gifted collab will not pay me that. And I've actually also declined, like some artists wanted to send me their work, but I was like, I don't want, like, I know how much time it takes to make handmade stuff, and I don't want to just take advantage of that. So I was like, when I have the means, I will buy something, hopefully. Because even though I have all these followers, like maybe you've seen my business barely makes money anyway. So I love to support a lot of small businesses. I still do whenever I can. I buy things here and there. But yeah, definitely I wouldn't do like sponsored collabs with big influencers. But anyway, sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, for sure. Thank you so much for your time and like answering my questions. It's just nice to feel like heard and seen, because again, I do this all by myself. I feel like so much of us artists and creators just like stay in our little bubble and we don't talk to people. So it's just so nice. So thank you so much.
No worries.
Cool. Right. Well, we've got quite a few questions, so let's try and get to all of them. Let me just have a look. So Sandra asked, what platform do you use to edit your video content? Worry about the Instagram/TikTok
watermarks. Yeah. So I actually use the. Yeah. Should I answer that question? So I use
go for it. Sorry.
No worries. I use an app called InShot. I think it's the best one because it's like, I think it's free. A lot of the other ones you have to pay for. So I just like, if I do a demolding video or something like that, I use that. And a lot of the times you can, like, if there is a locked feature, then you just have to watch an ad and it would become available. So yeah, it gets rid of the watermarks. And then also the cool thing about it is that if you download a font, you can import your own font into there, which I'm not sure about other apps, but that's what I've done before. And I also use, for TikTok, they kind of have a collab with CapCut, but I only use that if there's like a meme template going around, which is very easy to kind of insert your clips, but that's what I use. And I never post videos with watermarks. So if I done something on TikTok, I don't post that on Instagram with the watermark. There is an like a website called Snaptic, which you can get rid of your watermarks, but I think it kind of decreases the value. So the resolution of your video. So I try to like edit the video beforehand, so then I have the same video to upload. But sometimes it's just the way it is that like on TikTok, if I record something in the app, then I just leave it on TikTok. I don't post on Instagram because I feel like the resolution will be quite low and stuff. So that's what I use. And I know that like Instagram suppresses content that has a TikTok watermark. So
yeah,
vice versa.
I've heard that as well. It's weird because there's like always so many different like rules that are really specific to like each platform. Okay, what other questions we got? Do you know which day of the week is better to post on Instagram?
Well, I think it depends on your account. So you can go into your analytics and you can see what time, like for example, in the past a week or month or whatever, you can see which days of the week people are most active on what days. It will be like a bar graph, and then also what times they post. So like what time is people are the most active. So you can try to follow that. So that's what I do. I do that, but I also try to post every day. Especially last year, I think I've burnt myself out by posting every day and kind of scrambling for content at times where I'll be like, oh my God, I'm out with my mom, but I'm like, I have nothing to post, so let me just do something quick. But yeah, sometimes if you do take a break. So for example, when that video went 2 million views, I actually didn't post for 2 weeks, which is a long time. Because in that 2 week, I also barely got any sales. So social media is really like the views that you get is really connected to how much sales you might get. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I know that I need to not post every day because that's better for my mental health and I need to have a life. But also if I don't post, then who will pay my bills? So yeah, but definitely the weekends are probably better and maybe middle of the week, maybe not Monday and Tuesday. That's what I would say. But definitely try to post at least 3 times a week if you can. And definitely do reels rather than post. Or if you do photos, then try to post like a carousel. So like more than 3 photos or something, because Instagram works that like if you've seen a post on the first photo but you didn't like it, then it might show it up again but with the second image. So it kind of pushes things better that way. Yeah.
That's really good advice. We've also got a question that says, what made you decide to sell your art via your website versus social or an online marketplace?
Yeah, and then they said because they've been selling on my website. So kind of what made me do that is because I wanted to have everything kind of controlled by me. I'm a bit of a control freak. But yeah, it kind of makes me feel better about everything that goes on because you kind of have insight into everything and you can control like the amount of stock like and stuff like that. So I already had a portfolio on my website which was my fine art like exhibitions, my CV, my artist CV and stuff like that. So it was just a natural progression to make a shop like that. I never tried Etsy or marketplaces like that, but I know that they are good, especially like if you're starting out and you don't have a kind of what's the word, if you don't have an audience already. So it's good to start that. And also I think it's better to sell on your website because you get 100% of the sale that you get. Obviously there is a processing fee. So for me, I think it takes like maybe 2% of every sale for the kind of the system that's integrated in there. It's called Stripe. So yeah, but with Etsy, obviously they take fees and stuff like that. So it's much better, I think, to control it that way. So I would kind of recommend people try that as well. And if you have, I know a lot of artists, they also have an Etsy, but they also have their own shop. So yeah, because you might grow an audience on Etsy, but people might discover you online and will want to support you. I know the same way for me, it's like I know I've stocked with shops before. So I know that when a shop gets your work, they usually buy it at 50%. So when I see, like when I go to see, like, I don't know, if I'm in a design museum like the shop and I see an independent maker, I try to go on their website and buy it from there as well, because I know they will get like double amount of the money that they would have gotten if it was sold through the shop. So yeah, that's what I would say. I know taxes and stuff like that are quite confusing, but all of my parcels that I ship out, like, person pays the customs when they receive it. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I guess it all depends on like you as a person, I guess, with what platform you feel comfortable selling on as well. I think I missed a question. Martin asked, when you went viral, did you find yourself overrun with work you couldn't keep up with?
Oh yeah, I have, yeah, especially in the beginning when I started, when I showed you guys that graph, when I reached like 30,000 at the time as well. Like, someone made a post about me on Twitter in another language, which also went viral in Asia. So people were like, literally, luckily the shipping from UK to Asia is quite expensive, but I think I had like 500 people had things in their cart, and obviously because you can track like when they abandoned the cart because of shipping. So thank God that they, like, all those people didn't order, because I don't know what I would have done. And at the time, each of my piece was individually sanded, so I was sanding away like in January in the rain in my like garden shed. It was miserable, it was terrible, and until I found a way to kind of make my pieces already glossy when they come out of the mold. So yeah, you kind of do, like, I think before, it was when you go viral, like back in 2020 when everyone was at home, people were more likely to buy stuff like online, whereas now obviously all the shops are open, so people are more likely buying stuff in real life. So even though I've gone viral, it wasn't to that extreme extent where I had to make, like, hundreds of things. So as you saw in my chart, maybe one of them I had like 35 things I sold. So yeah, but it does get a lot. So when you go viral, you like, in my case, often the times I couldn't keep up with those things. So I had to prioritize making over, like packing, or like over Instagram and things like that, or like even over my general daily life. So definitely kind of, I've done a video about this and like in my other tips, but I would advise people to not do like made to order stuff like I do. I want to get away from that and do small drops instead, because it's kind of like a basic economy marketing 101, that if you have a low stock but a high demand, then a lot of people want to buy your stuff, I think. But if you have, like, for example, me, people can just order at any time, then I feel like people might be like, oh, I can buy that next week, or I can buy that in the next month. But for people that do like limited drops with, say, like, oh, they've made 10 items and it's going to be available at this time, I feel like those people make better money than me, or have higher sales, because of the kind of need that as a society we just want to participate in something. And yeah, I think that kind of feeds into that. So I think definitely try to do not made to order or pre-orders or things like that. If you do pre-orders, then it's better if it's stuff like manufactured, like say if you do like plushies, plush toys or things like that. But if it's like handmade things, then I wouldn't do pre-order. I want to try to get away from that stuff and do small drops instead, because it's such a relief. Like when I did a sample sale recently, it's such a relief that all that stuff was already made and I just had to pack and just take it away and then fulfill the order, and it was gone away from my hands, rather than kind of at the back of my head being like, oh my God, this person ordered it 5 days ago and I'm still making it. So yeah.
It gives you more control as well, I guess.
Yeah.
You feel more in control of your own sales, and you can drop things when you want to sell them, and it's like, yeah,
exactly.
Okay, right, well, it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
so we can have one more question. We've got a couple from Instagram.
Okay. Play around.
Let's have a look. What was your favorite type of content to create, and which one performs best?
For me, the one that performs best is demolding, because it's just so satisfying to look at, and it's also the easiest to film, because once I demold it, I can't go back, I can't reshoot it, so I just shoot it once and then I just splice things up. I think it's really easy that way. And the other thing that performs the best, if there's like a trending audio, it has to be original audio, not with like a music. But say there was that one about small business where it's like, I girl boss too hard and now I have all these sales, all these emails, da 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 da. Like those kind of perform the best for me. Yeah. Or kind of a compilation of all the different things that I make. So I'll kind of splice up my videos with like a clip of me making something and then the finished result. And I think people are more like, there's a lot to process in that video. So maybe, I mean, I just like to think that maybe people will rewatch that video, kind of video, because they're just like, oh my God, there's so much happening in one video. So
Yeah, we've got to watch it a couple of times for it to really sink in.
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, has anyone got any other questions for Sebastian while we're here? This is your chance.
Yeah, if anyone else, obviously, if anyone comes up with anything else and wants to DM me, then I'm always like happy to help. I always message people. So yeah.
Your socials are going to be in the chat so everyone knows where to find you.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sebastian, for a really great talk. Like I said at the beginning, it's really nice when like an artist goes in depth about like the background of their practice and how like how their business works, because obviously not many people talk about that. And yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. Make sure you check out Sebastian's socials in the chat, and keep up to date with us on Instagram and what we've got going on over at Dark Killer Dot, and make sure you sign up for the next one because these talks are free and you don't want to miss out on them. Thank you, everyone.